Welcome to the LA Business Podcast, a forum for business owners and senior executives to share the experiences about the elements that drive their success. Your host is Robert Brill, CEO of BrillMedia.co.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the LA Business Podcast. Today our guest is Garry Smith, president of the American Popcorn Company. Thanks for being here, Garrett.
Hi, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So Garrett, it's a good time. It might be a good time to be a popcorn company. And if it is, let us know why. I figure people are staying home. You want some entertainment. Popcorn is the perfect thing to eat while you're watching a movie. How has the last few months been for American Popcorn Company?
Crazy. Sales are up so dramatically, it's hard to describe. Our brand is Jolly Time, and we're nationally distributed, even internationally. But sales of microwave popcorn is about 2/3 of our business. We also sell a lot of raw kernels in either a poly bag or a 30-ounce jar. And then, of course, a smaller part of our business is movie theaters and institutional food service accounts. And, of course, that business disappeared as rapidly as the retail business increased. But to answer your question, in the last 4 months, our microwave popcorn sales are up almost 40%, and our sales of raw kernel are up almost double. June, we're starting to see it slow a little bit, but as long as this has changed people's lifestyles, and life has slowed down. They're staying home, and that's great for us.
Fantastic. And so, on this podcast, Garrett, we're really interested to share with other business owners and senior executives and entrepreneurs how companies grow and scale. Have you done anything special to seize this moment, or has it been a matter of you're in the right business at the right time? Have you changed your marketing or your messaging?
No, we were the right business at the right time. I mean, there was nothing we did that influenced that. Having said that, to keep up with demand, and we did for the most part, but we've worked our production people 12 and a half hours a day for 3 months. And there's a burnout factor there that concerns me. We're going to do it one more week, and then we're going to be caught up enough, we think, that we can go back to what is more normal production hours. Our employees have just been incredible. I can't not thank them enough. I mean, their commitment to us is just exceptional, and they'll be rewarded for it. But the key going forward, and what our marketing department is talking about now, is, with this rapid sales increase, it's pretty obvious that we have a lot of new users of Jolly Time popcorn. And the key will be, how do we keep that new user who never tried us before in the loop and keep them purchasing popcorn? There's brand switching within popcorn category, especially microwave popcorn. And we don't need to get every sale, but we need to be in that rotation of brands that consumer is willing to buy. We have great quality products, just not as many people know of us as some of our competitors.
So do you consider yourself a challenger brand to like another popcorn company?
Yeah, sure. Of course we are. I mean, Orville Redenbacher is a ConAgra brand, as is Act Two. Orville would be a national market leader. Then Campbell Soup's company owns the Pop Secret brand. And then little old family-owned Jolly Time Popcorn butts head against both of them, as well as house brands or private labels and that type of stuff.
Sure, which I imagine is becoming, like craft beer and this push towards like homemade and sort of that lifestyle brand. I think there's a new threat from a variety of different, very small competitors. How do you
absolutely there is.
How do you market against an Orville or a Pop Secret? Like it must be difficult. I think ingenuity and creativity plays a big factor in that.
Commitment and flexibility. I mean, we never take the eye off the ball. Popcorn is all we do. And so we are just laser focused all the time on just one category. That's different than those large conglomerates, obviously. We're also nimble and flexible. And when you're approaching a grocery chain, whether it's Vaughn's or Ralph's or whoever it might be, you know, we'll present our idea for a good promotion, in-store promotion. Maybe it's a display, maybe it's a price point, but we'll present our best ideas. But then they may say, well, could we do it this way or could we do it that way? Well, we say yes. I mean, we just flat out say yes. And that helps us. And that isn't really marketing as much as just good sales relationships. But as far as marketing, Jolly Time has been consistently advertised for 95 years. We're a 106-year-old company. And we do it some, of course, marketing has changed so much the last 5 to 10 years. Put it whatever time period you want. But we do some more traditional marketing, women's service magazines. But most of our more traditional type of marketing has switched either to in-store activities, and that might include a shelf talker or, like I said, we pay for a display, and then social and digital. We're talking about a video for digital. A lot of our dollars are being shifted that direction. You can get a lot more targeted. You don't reach as many people, but you can really get targeted.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you said about the flexibility and being nimble. I mean, it really just means a lot to be a good partner and a good human being in the course of making campaigns and partnerships work. Like that's a good thing. You know,
having said that, though, the grocery business has become much more data driven than when I started 40 years ago or even 20 years. I mean, the more sophisticated chains are taking the scan data, you know, everything goes through the scanner and they're analyzing that, those consumers. And I can tell you for a fact that Kroger, which in your case is Ralph's, knows exactly who their best consumers are. We have to pay for it, but we can get some information on our consumers within their stores and can target them in different with different vehicles. It really is a data-driven business. But having said that, I mean, we're a family business. Relationships do count.
Are you using any of that data to ingest into your business to make decisions about maybe who to target or where to target? Like, I've been watching a lot more. My wife, okay, so here's the thing. My wife loves HGTV. So I've been back into the 15 and 30 second commercial game, like watching those on connected TV now for a couple months. What I've really noticed, and we sold this into our clients, which is you see an ad on connected TV, like on Roku or HGTV or something, and then you see a banner ad as a follow-up. That type of data targeting, I love seeing that. I saw that for a pet product brand called Candy Day, I think. And I noticed it. And I'm like, okay, that's fascinating. Like, do you use, like, there's so much rich data you can use to like identify your customers, your best customers, and to create lookalike models and to do that type of stuff. Has that been ingested into your organization? And how does that compare to like what you do with television?
Well, it's different. TV is 20 years ago, we ran a lot of television commercials, but we haven't run TV commercials in, I don't know, a long time, at least a decade. Well, all of your digital advertising is very targeted. And, you know, I'm 65 years old. How that works, I really don't know. But yes, there is, I mean, there's reach and frequencies digitally, just like there is on television or just like there is on magazines. And and it's all very measured. Like I said, it's much more targeted, so we're not reaching as nearly as many people, but hopefully we're reaching them more effectively.
How do you nurture innovation within your organization? It has to do with people ultimately, but I've worked on consulting gigs with some of the largest brands. We're a media buying shop. That's what we do professionally for small and mid-sized, sometimes large businesses. But I've had the opportunity to work with some of the largest brands in the world on a consulting level. And what I find interesting, it's so hard for some companies to swing a massive ship to make one simple change. How are you able to nurture talent within your organization, going back to that idea of being nimble?
That's a great question. And innovation is so critical to our success or even being. I got to give credit to other people for this process, but we do have an innovation process, and we meet at least monthly with updates, and we've got a long list of projects that are in different stages. It could be packaging innovation, it could be a new flavor of microwave popcorn. It's a whole variety of things. It could be a completely new product. And we have a step-by-step process and that includes research. It's a never-ending process. And honestly, if we're not introducing new ideas and new products, we're going to get left behind. And we can't afford to get left behind and stay in business, because I can assure you that our larger competitors are innovating as well.
How do you measure the success when you have a new flavor or a new product or some sort of new thing that you're looking at? How do you measure, how far down the line do you go and you say, okay, we've hit a benchmark, this is good, there's something here? Or alternatively, oh man, we're not getting the sales we want. What's the metric that you say, okay, stop, abandon, move on to the next project?
Well, it's sales. I mean, what we haven't done very well, to be honest with you, in the past, that I think we're going to be better at going forward, is doing some consumer research before we introduce the product. That could include name, could include packaging, could include the product itself. I mean, it's probably all of those things. Because when you introduce a new grocery product, the grocery chains charge what they call a slotting allowance, which is an upfront fee for a little bit of real estate on their shelves. And it costs a lot of money to introduce a product nationally. And so we don't want to make a lot of mistakes, and we have in the past. But at the same time, if you're not showing new products, you will get left behind. So there's a balance there.
What new things are we testing in the next few months or in the next year that we can be on the lookout for?
Well, if I told you, I'd have to shoot you.
Okay.
Well, there are new flavors in the works. Actually, we were going to introduce a new flavor this summer, but with all that's going on and our surge in business, plus the grocery account, they're so busy stocking shelves because their business is good. Kind of the new item presentations have just been put on hold, not only by us, but also by our customers, until things kind of settle down. Things are starting to settle down, and I think things will, they'll never go back to normal, but we will be making new item presentations. However, in our case, we're still so busy just trying to keep up with the increased demand that it's not the right time for us to introduce a new product, because I'm not sure we can make it. We're working, like I said, we're working some of our people as much as 12-hour days. But that'll change, and I anticipate that this fall, first of the year, this new product that we have ready will be introduced. And then there's, we sell a lot of Jolly Time in just 2-pound polyethylene bags. It's a very simple product. Generally sits on the bottom shelf of a popcorn section. And but we're talking about ways to. It's not a very fancy package. Let's put it be real blunt. But so we're talking about other type of packages that might be more attractive. But of course, that always increases cost, and the cost ultimately has to be paid by the consumer. And, so there's risk in that, but there is a lot of discussion around packaging of raw popcorn as well.
So let's talk about that, right? Like how, I've many years ago, I worked on, this might be a bad analogy, and I don't mean it to be offensive, but I'll frame it because as a consumer, I'm really interested, and as a business person, I'm interested. I worked on gasoline, 76 brands, ConocoPhillips, et cetera.
Okay.
And when we went to market, the marketing was really about everything except that. I mean, the product was differentiated, but as a consumer, like I don't know the difference between one gasoline and the other. Right. And I'm not a car person either. So when I think about popcorn, like what's the differentiated factor what's the key factor that when a consumer makes a decision, Orville, Jolly Time, it's Pop Secret, what do you think is the key factor that makes a difference in the brand that they choose? Is it the marketing? Is it the packaging? Is it the taste or feel of the product? Like what's the thing that makes a difference for the consumer?
That's a great question. I think it varies by consumer, to be honest with you. But having said that, people eat only good tasting products, and so if you don't get that right, you don't have a chance. And in the case of popcorn, also you have a performance of the product. How many of the kernels pop? And so in a bag of microwave popcorn, it isn't as much as how many unpopped kernels are in the bottom of the bag. The more important thing is making sure that bag pops absolutely full. Because if you only get a 2/3 or 3/4 popped bag, well, probably something's wrong with either the popcorn, which is not likely, or the bag didn't vent properly or something along those lines. So it is hard to differentiate sometimes. We try to do it with flavors, to answer your question. Really? Everybody's got good popping hybrids, and they vary from company to company, but they're all good hybrids. But yeah, I mean, our most popular flavor that's been around for 23 years is a sub brand called Blasto Butter. And when we designed that product, remember the 25 years ago, there was a hard candy called Mega Warheads. It was a very sour candy, and you put it in your mouth and your face just caved in. So the way we were working with a food scientist at the time, and the way we described what we wanted for this product, that we wanted an upfront explosion of butter that would almost make your face cave in. And Blasta Butter is a very powerful name, and it better deliver, and it does. It's in the category called movie theater style butter. But what makes it different than our competitors is that upfront blast of butter. And so we're doing things like that. We also have a product that's available in LA called Simply Popped, and it is a clean ingredient microwave popcorn. And clean ingredient means it's popcorn, it's palm oil, it's clarified butter, which is butter with no moisture in it, and it's sea salt. All things you can understand, all things that are clean in people's mind, and that product is delicious, and we're doing very, very well with that. But then we have some extreme products, like we have a blazing cheese, and then we have a marshmallow flavor that I don't think in your area, but so we have these extremes as well. But what's kind of interesting about especially microwave popcorn sales, 80% of the sales are a butter flavor. Maybe it's a movie theater flavor, maybe it's a more standard butter, maybe it's a low-fat butter, but it's still butter. And that's the way Americans like popcorn. I mentioned earlier, we do have an international business. That isn't necessarily true in internationally. As a matter of fact, we have a product called the Big Cheese, and that's another heavy oil, big flavored product. And especially in the Middle East and parts of Europe, that product just flies.
Really?
Yeah. So American consumers are a little bit different. We consume way more popcorn than anybody else per capita, but we're very loyal to butter.
I imagine, I remember growing up, I would go to my grandma's place and she would have, I don't know what kind of device, but like a device that would make popcorn. And I'm quite confident the brand that she used was Orville Redenbacher. So like putting my marketer hat on, thinking, do you have, I imagine creating a lifelong customer starts with the parents making popcorn for their kids. Is that a critical part of your marketing, or do you normally target like adults?
Well, I'll tell you what, we target mom with kids in the household, especially 5 to 12. Those are the heaviest consumers of popcorn, whether it's microwave or they're doing it themselves on the stove or in a popper. Unlike cereal, where kids make a lot of the decisions, mom still makes the decision on the popcorn. And she might buy blast of butter for Johnny and a low-fat product for herself, but she's the one that is making the decision when she's shopping. And like I said, we target moms because with kids in the household, they consume more those households consume more popcorn than anybody. The other nice thing about popcorn, though, is 70% of the country eats popcorn. It's very popular. And so, you can make a mistake in your targeting and still be okay.
If I want to buy like the best flavors that live in the middle, that are consumed in the Middle East, in Los Angeles or like Europe or I don't know, other parts of the world, do I have the ability to do that? Or am I just like out of luck and I can only buy what's in the stores in my area?
No, you're online, you can buy anything you want from us. Right. The same cheese product we have domestically, it just doesn't sell as well within the United States as it does in other parts of the world. The only product that we have some little tweaks in formulations occasionally, but consumers couldn't notice the difference in the taste. There's only one product that we offer internationally that we don't offer domestically, and that's a sugar-flavored microwave popcorn. And that product was made specifically for Germany. Germans think of popcorn as a child's food, something you would get at a fair or a carnival, and it's often sweet. And so we have developed it's a sugar-flavored microwave popcorn with a really attractive vanilla smell as it's popping. And it does pretty well in especially Germany.
Is there any other flavor? What's the most outrageous flavor you've ever developed?
Oh God. I don't know if it's outrageous, but and it didn't work, but sassy salsa is one. A low-fat caramel apple was one. I'm naming all these failures over the years.
Sounds good. Especially the caramel apple.
They're good products, but when you only are capturing 20% of the sales out of the section, it's hard to keep it on the shelf. The best product we discontinued was jalapeno butter. Oh my God, that was good. But I like jalapenos. But eventually what ends up happening is chain A drops it and replaces it with something else, whether it's our product or a competitor's product. Then chain B did it, and then chain C did it, and you just end up not having enough distribution to make it worthwhile. And that's, it's painful. I hate to do it, but you do have to purge poor selling items. But we've had more than that. Chipotle, that was another one that failed. So we've tried a lot of things. And like I said, back in those days, we weren't doing the upfront consumer research that we have to start doing better now.
What's your cycle to bring a product to market? Like, how long does it take you guys to bring a product to market? Like, is it is it 6 months, a year, a couple of years? Like
a year. We can do most anything in a year. Wow. Occasionally it's different than that, but flavors of microwave popcorn are, popcorn pops at 450 degrees. That's really hot. And a lot of flavors burn up. You just don't, it's a flavor going into the bag, but once it's popped, it kind of disappears. And so there's a lot of research that goes into flavors. But our goal is to come out with a new product within the microwave segment every year. We don't always do it, but that's kind of a goal.
So for the next year, as we look forward, continue with the sales upswing that you guys have benefited from. I'm sure the whole category has done really well, which is fantastic.
Yes.
The manufacturer, huh?
Well, here's my prediction. The virus is going to be with us for obviously months, if not maybe a year or two.
Right.
And this whole thing has changed people's lifestyles. And they have rediscovered baking. They've rediscovered cooking in general, and they've rediscovered popping popcorn. And so as long as people are going to stay home more, which I believe they are, I know California is opening up, as is Iowa, but people's lifestyles have slowed, and that's good for home consumption of popcorn. Binging Netflix goes very well with Jolly Time popcorn. And so this is all going to settle down, and it will plateau out, but it will plateau out at a much higher level than we were at previously.
Can we talk about data for a moment?
About beta?
Data.
Oh, data. Sure, of course.
We talked earlier about, I'm thinking about this. If I'm in your shoes, how do I identify your best customers? And your best customers are going to come from the grocery store. And you mentioned that you buy some of that data, but it's very expensive. What does your data infrastructure look like? Are you capturing people who visit your website? Are you working with data partners from like MasterCard or Visa who are trying, selling these, or Catalina, some of these transactions? How do you ensure, this is such a big opportunity for the whole category, and I'm specifically for you. There's such a big opportunity. So many more people are discovering and buying your popcorn. How do you form a relationship with those people beyond the consumption so that 3 years from now, you can go back and say, hey, remember us? Jolly Time, we're the best.
Well, you're asking the right question. And that's what we're working our ass off on. But the truth is, it's really hard. The only way we can really get firsthand knowledge of who's our consumers, and I'm not talking by name, but
sure,
is from the grocer themselves, because the data that we buy is not consumer specific. It's market share. It's how well this item sells. It's, what percent of the stores do you have distribution in? What's the average price point? And we use that data to communicate to the customer. As far as communicating to the consumer, specifically to what you're talking about, we'd have to buy information from a willing grocer. And some grocers sell that information, and some grocers do not.
You also have
but if they do, we can use Kroger or Ralph's as an example. They have programs where perhaps we can target a coupon, a digital coupon directly to someone who has purchased Jolly Time for the first time in the last year or something like that. And we do stuff like that, but it's expensive. But you're asking the right question. So As I said earlier, we have a lot of new consumers because of the increased consumption. How do we keep them?
Yeah, I imagine site visitation data is going to be valuable, is continuing to be valuable for you. Any email address that you might collect. But the challenge is people aren't going to like, there's so many products that a consumer will buy on a day-to-day basis. We're not going to give our email addresses to every company that makes the product. But that's such a valuable connection to the consumer. We advise.
And we do, well, and through our website and our marketing department, we've got a fan club of 100,000 people or something, and that have, for whatever reason, proven themselves relatively loyal to Jolly Time Popcorn. You know, one thing, talk about marketing, here's something that is very unique to us within our category anyway, is that we have almost always some type of consumer offer on our packages. As an example, we have, over the last 8 to 10 years, we have given away, with proofs of purchase of Jolly Time Popcorn, 800,000 reusable grocery bags. And a consumer has to send in 3 proofs of purchase, and we'll send them a reusable grocery bag, but it's got our logo on it, and she's carrying it into the grocery store. And it isn't just reusable grocery bag. We used to have a relationship with Weight Watchers on our low-fat product, which we call Healthy Pop. Well, for a long time, several years, we offered a free subscription to Weight Watcher magazine with proofs of purchase of microwave popcorn. This winter, we'll have, for the 4th consecutive year, we'll have a tie-in with Redbox, and inside our carton of microwave popcorn will be a code that you can punch into a Redbox and get a free movie rental.
Amazing.
And this year we're adding a discount on streaming because they're getting into streaming. Obviously, the Redbox model might turn into Blockbuster someday. Right now, they're still doing very well. But anyway, I mean, movies and popcorn go together, and so that's been a really good tie-in. So through those offers, we are able to capture names and addresses, and then we do target them, and we ask them questions. You know, it's not a real sophisticated database, you know, but they're loyal users, so they're good people to ask questions of, and we do.
Very good. Garrett Smith, thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. It was fun. Thank you.